There are laughs, and then there are British lawyer laughs. You know the kind. Loud, sharp, and just a little offended, like someone heard a joke that was cute but completely unrealistic. That was exactly the vibe in legal circles when the rumour hit. Meghan Markle was allegedly ready to sue the British Crown if her Duchess of Sussex title was taken away. Yes, that crown. Not a studio, not a celebrity, not some CEO you can threaten with lawyers and bad press. We're talking about an institution older than most countries. So the idea that an American actress might drag the monarchy into court, the response wasn't fear, it was laughter. Because to British lawyers, suing the crown is about as likely as suing the weather for ruining your wedding day. You can be annoyed, you can complain, but taking it to court, not happening. And yet, according to palace insiders close enough to hear the whispers, Meghan wasn't joking, not a bit. She allegedly said she'd even go after Prince William himself once he becomes king. Pause and let that sink in. An American citizen threatening legal action against the future King of England over a title she only has because she married into the family. Dramatic, absolutely. But that's exactly what makes it so wild. But here's the twist. This wasn't arrogance. It wasn't delusion. It was panic wearing high heels. Because when someone truly feels powerful, they don't threaten lawsuits. They don't shout. They don't flail. They lean back and smile. Meghan. She wasn't smiling. To get why she reacted this way, you need to understand how she sees her title. In Meghan's mind, Duchess of Sussex isn't something loaned to her. It's hers, like personal property, like a brand she built herself. She treats it the way celebrities treat trademarks once it's yours. No one else can touch it. That's why the idea of the crown taking it back is unthinkable, because she doesn't see the monarchy as the owner. She sees herself as the final authority over the name, the image, and the power it carries. To Meghan, that title is armour. It's what gives her weight in rooms full of powerful people. It turns phone calls into opportunities and interviews into global headlines. It's why doors open, even before she knocks. Without that title, she's not a special guest. She's not royal adjacent. She's just Meghan. And that terrifies her, because the Duchess of Sussex isn't just a label. It's the foundation of her entire public identity. Her charities lean on it. Her projects lean on it. Even her introductions are wrapped in it. Every time her name appears next to that title, it adds a weight she didn't have before. So when whispers started that King Charles might one day review or even revoke certain royal titles, Meghan didn't hear politics. She heard a threat to her very existence. Here's what people forget. Meghan spent 37 years without any royal sparkle. She wasn't born into palaces. She wasn't raised with crowns and curtsies. She built a modest career, worked hard, and made a name for herself, but only within limits. Then she married Prince Harry, and overnight, her life exploded. She didn't just gain a husband, she gained global relevance. Cameras followed her everywhere. The media treated her like royalty because she was royalty. The title didn't just sit on her shoulder. It wrapped around her like a designer coat, instantly making her bigger, shinier, and impossible to ignore. Half Hollywood, half royal, a branding dream. And Meghan didn't just wear that title. She built her entire empire on it. Every deal, every red carpet, every glossy magazine. Cove, it all depended on one thing, that she was a duchess. Now imagine that disappearing. No title, no royal glow, no instant prestige. Suddenly, she's not a global figure with royal gravity. She's just a former actress trying to cling to relevance in an industry that devours yesterday's stars for breakfast. That's the fear, not losing love, not losing money, losing status. And when people are terrified of falling back to where they started, they don't play calmly. That's exactly where this story begins. This is where fantasy crashes into cold royal reality. Because no matter how Meghan feels about her title, the monarchy doesn't run on feelings. It runs on rules. Ancient, rigid, completely unemotional rules. Here's the simplest way to understand it. Royal titles are not handbags. You don't buy them, you don't earn them, and you definitely don't own them. A royal title is a permission slip. When Queen Elizabeth made Prince Harry the Duke of Sussex on his wedding day, that title didn't belong to Meghan. It belonged to Harry. Meghan only got it because she married a man with royal blood. It was a courtesy title, a +1 situation. Think of it like borrowing your friend's designer jacket. You can wear it, look amazing in it, even get compliments. But at the end of the day, it's not yours, and the owner can ask for it back. And here's the kicker that permission can be revoked with one signature from one person, the reigning monarch. No debate, no court case, no negotiation. The crown doesn't explain itself. It just decides. So while Meghan may believe her Duchess title is permanent, the truth is much colder. It exists only as long as the monarchy allows it. And marriage, that's the thread holding it all together. Once that thread starts to fray, everything else becomes unstable. If Meghan ever needed proof that the crown means business, she got it in one very public collapse. Prince Andrew, born royal, raised in palaces, bloodline so blue it practically glowed. And yet, with a single decision from the monarchy, his royal life crumbled. Titles stripped, duties erased, status gone. No long negotiations, no emotional appeals, no special protection. That moment sent a crystal clear message. If the crown can do this to a blood prince, it can do it to anyone. And Meghan heard it loud and clear. Unlike Andrew, her title isn't tied to birth. It's not woven into centuries of history. It exists purely because of marriage, and marriages can end. What Andrew's fall revealed was brutally simple. Royal power isn't sentimental. It isn't personal. It's fast, cold, and absolute. And if Andrew's crown could shatter that easily, Meghan's was never solid to begin with. It was glass. Beautiful, shiny, and dangerously fragile. That's when fear stops being theoretical and starts feeling urgent. And this is the part that had British lawyers laughing the hardest, because Meghan threatening to sue the monarchy. Not just bold, legally impossible. Here's the simple version. You can't sue the king. Not in the UK, not in the US, not anywhere. Why sovereign immunity? Big words, simple meaning. The king is the law. You can't take the person who writes the rules to court using the same rules. It's like trying to sue your school principal in the principal's office using the principal's own rulebook. It doesn't work. And in America, even worse, a US court has zero authority over the internal decisions of a foreign monarchy. Royal titles aren't contracts. They aren't property. They aren't trademarks or business assets. They are privileges granted, and privileges can vanish in a heartbeat. Royal titles are symbolic honours, gifts from the crown. And here's the thing, you can't turn a gift into a lawsuit. Any judge would glance at it and say, "Case dismissed." Next, which means when Meghan reportedly said, "No one is taking my title away," she might not have realised the truth. They already can, they always could, and they don't need permission. That's why the lawyers laughed. Not because Meghan isn't smart, not because she isn't ambitious, but because the crown doesn't argue, it decides. Here's the uncomfortable truth at the heart of all this. Meghan's empire wasn't built from scratch. It was built on borrowed ground. Every glossy deal, every red carpet, every carefully curated interview, it leaned on one thing: that royal title Netflix didn't just sign Meghan Markle, they signed Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Media outlets didn't just invite an actress, they invited someone royal adjacent dripping in prestige. Her foundation didn't speak as a private citizen, it spoke as a duchess. Her statements didn't land as opinions, they landed as royal commentary. That title added gravity to everything, and without it, the entire structure wobbles. Because here's the part nobody likes to say out loud: Hollywood is ruthless. Attention is currency, and royal sparkle that buys a lot more attention than a former actress with opinions. Without that title, Meghan doesn't vanish, but she shrinks. And shrinking isn't an option when your whole public life depends on being bigger than the room. That's why losing the title doesn't just scare her, it threatens everything she's built since leaving the palace. Strip away the romance, the interviews, the fairy tale language, and one truth remains. Harry was the gateway not to love, but to power. His bloodline unlocked the palace doors. His name carried centuries of weight. His position transformed Meghan overnight, from actress to global figure. Without Harry, there is no Duchess of Sussex. That doesn't mean the marriage was fake, it was functional, strategic, transformational. It elevated her in ways no Hollywood role ever could. But here's the catch. What marriage gives, marriage can take away. Once divorce enters the picture, the gateway narrows, the protection weakens, and the title becomes vulnerable. And Meghan knows this now in a way she didn't at the beginning. She understands the mechanics that means any future exit must be controlled, calculated, protected. You don't walk away from a power source without securing the next one. This is where money quietly enters the room, not as romance, but as armor. Because when status is at risk, wealth becomes protection. A billionaire doesn't just bring luxury, they bring independence. Private jets, private worlds, private protection from irrelevance. When royal power fades, financial power becomes the next best thing. This isn't about chasing men, it's about securing stability. Admiration from powerful people replaces the validation once provided by the crown. Wealth fills the silence where royal doors once opened automatically. Influence doesn't disappear, it just changes form. If the monarchy was step 1, money is step 2. And once that shift happens, divorce stops being dangerous. It becomes manageable. Here's the final truth tying the whole story together. Meghan doesn't fear divorce. She fears irrelevance. She fears the slow fade, fewer invitations, quieter phones, softer headlines. She fears slipping back into a version of herself the world no longer rushes to hear from. That's why power must transfer, not vanish. The crown once gave her elevation. Marriage sustained it. Now the future demands a new source of gravity, something louder than royalty, richer than tradition. Because once you've lived at the top, falling quietly is not an option, V. So if divorce comes, it won't be a collapse. It will be a pivot. Carefully, timed. Carefully, protected. Carefully. Powered, Meghan didn't escape the palace to disappear. She escaped it to negotiate power on her own terms. And that more than love, more than lawsuits, more than titles, is the real story.